It's been a long day.
All right, welcome back to Super Centex After Dark. You see the crew here. We got Michael, DJ, Zach, Chad. We got to
I
start.
feel like the events of the night sort of. I mean, like when it popped up when you were like, "Hey, y'all want to do a late night podcast?" It was like, "Yeah, we kind of need to." I think.
How about the freaking Lorena Leopards, man?
Right.
That's where
Right.
we got to start. Zach. I mean, second number one team this team's beat this season.
This team, I mean, Lorena is fun. They're just a fun team, right? Like, uh, Braylon Henry's like the Energizer Bunny with tree trunks for legs. He is. It's just they're a really fun team, and I know it's cliche to say the game is won and lost in the trenches, but that is Lorena was dominant on both sides of the ball there tonight. When they needed 5 yards, they leaned on Columbus and Braylon Henry powered his way for 5 yards or whatever they needed. And that was just it was just that over and over and over again. And it was working. And then defensively, Columbus scored on their first two possessions of the game. And then their next, what is it? Next three drives to end the first half, they had -9 total yards.
Mm.
They were and their quarterback is no joke, 4-star recruit going to Baylor. He was running for his life all game, and I think he completed 3 passes, and 2 of them were in the first half. So Braylon Henry is just, like I said, fun to watch, and offensive and defensive line just carried the day. And going to Franklin next week or taking on Franklin again, that's going to be another great game. But Lorena's fun, man. They're just
I
fun.
don't know if it was a factor or not, but Will Taverner got a targeting call in the second half of last week's game, and so maybe had to sit the first half of this week's game. So I don't know if that would have popped up, and I should have given you a heads up to look for it earlier in the day. I
No,
just
we.
had a lot on my
I
He
plate
was
had
too.
back.
I had
He was
Zach
back.
ask about it. Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
back. And dominant. He was one of the. He's an edge rusher, right? He was rushing. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
the Columbus quarterback was running for his life all game, and yeah, it was just a clinic up front. And I will say, another like a coaching masterpiece, because the Columbus had some success kind of with a little pitch to their running back who's really speedy, and he would just take off on the outside. But Lorena did a great job of adjusting and kind of stopping the outside run and kind of forcing them up the middle where they were just clogging it all night. So just all good things to say about Lorena.
Well, and one more thing that I'll pile on. You mentioned, the running attack and Braylon Henry being the Energizer Bunny, but I feel like if Lorena ever gets in a situation where they need to throw it around the yard, they can do that too.
Yeah. I mean, what did he have? He had 83 yards, 11 for 20, 83 yards. Caden Roberts did. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they absolutely have some dudes to beat you in every option. It's just they were kind of taking what Columbus was giving them, and
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
working. So
You mentioned a master class in coaching. I mean, we haven't really talked about the job Kevin Johnson has done there this year that much, but um, taking over for a legend in Ray Biles, and really the train hasn't left the track. I mean, they just keep keep chugging along. And as Chad said on our pod this past week, this could potentially be a state championship type game. I think Lorena, no offense to Franklin, but I think Lorena's the favorite.
Well, I mean, Lorena kicked Franklin's butt on their home field in the second half. It was a game they were behind a couple of touchdowns at least. I think they were behind 2 touchdowns at halftime, and they came out in the second half and just dominated that game against Franklin and ended up winning on the last second field goal. Now, having said that, yeah, they're the favorite, but Franklin's still the 2-time defending state champ. So there's going to
Yeah,
be,
yeah, they're not going to
yeah,
go out without a fight. That's for
yep.
sure. Um, so another team obviously that always is a state contender is Mart. And Mart went out and did what Mart does. And yeah, and pretty cool DJ for Armando Chavez tonight. Tell us what he did.
Oh yeah, so he kicked 5 extra points to break the Texas State extra point all-time record.
Single
And he
season or career?
Career.
for his career, yeah.
Wow.
And is
yeah,
only like what 10 away from
10 away from the national record, yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
So, I mean,
that shows you how much Mart has scored, and the kid has obviously been kicking since he was a freshman.
yeah. And then to cap it off, he threw his first ever 2-point conversion pass.
Nice.
A trick play to the quarterback, to Montreal Medlock.
Yes.
Yeah. And another Medlock that had a great night was Zach Medlock with 3 picks, and he's only been playing varsity in the postseason because he's a JV guy most of the season, and they called him up, I think, just last week. I mean, for a team that is a little banged up, and Mart is still Mart. So
yeah, they don't have that. We've said it, but they don't have that many kids. But then, like you said, some kid from JV comes up and gets 3 picks, man. I mean, they're just they're a machine. And
I showed up late. I showed up halfway through the first quarter because I got caught up in some slow traffic on the back roads coming back from Louisiana. And so I show up halfway through the first quarter, they're already up 21-0. And I'm just like, Mart is gonna Mart. So it's kind of honestly a pretty easy game to cover because you kind of know the story of the game right away. Yeah.
No doubt. And another blowout I will mention real quick. So as you guys are aware, I was planning on going to the Chilton game tonight. I'm talking about to walk out the door. I was following Baylor basketball. That game was still going on, and I was sweating it a little bit. I was like, this is going to be a tough night because I'm going to have to finish my story. I'm going to listen to the radio. I'm going to finish the story from Belton, and then cover this high school football game. And Jason Orts called me and was like, hey, I'm covering the Chilton Granger game for Temple. Do you want that too? I was like, are you kidding? Yes, I do want that too. So Jason Orts was at the Chilton game. He was not able to make it on the pod tonight. He got called into his other job, his real job. But Hewitt 911, there's not that much crime in Hewitt. We could probably call 911 right now and have him on the pod. But back to Chilton, dude, that
45-0,
45 to bagel to a team that they lost to in the regular season in Granger. Another pretty impressive statement. I mean, Lorena, Chilton, Mart, pick your statement win, but very, very impressive by Chilton. I mean, and kind of did it from the outset. I mean, this one was over by the end of the first quarter. So,
here I am talking about how we're going to be in the 6-man business this week, and
yeah, we still got a few teams left.
I want to think that I inspired all our 2As and up, because they got out there. They were like,
they flexed. We started this week with 10 teams left, and if Jonesboro wins tomorrow, which I think they will, we'll still have 6. I mean, that's pretty good. 6 out of 10. So, and 2 of those were playing each other in Oglesby and Iredell, so we were bound to lose one. But yeah, let's go to Michael. So Michael saw a heartbreaker for Bremond, whereas it all went well for extra points for Mart, not so much for the Bremond Tigers.
Yeah, obviously it came down to the one that they missed there at the end. Well, they also missed one earlier in the game on their first touchdown, and then forced them to go for 2 later in the first half, and they got it. And so it's like, I don't know, like, what should you have done? And the way it kind of all shaked out, so Falls City had jumped on top 21-14 going into the half. and then the Beavers were held scoreless in the second half. Like, it's not like the Tigers weren't, just clamping down and getting stops when they needed to. They got all the stops they needed in the second half, and needed a big drive with, I think, about 4 minutes left. They took over on their own 14. They marched 86 yards down the field, scored. And then now you're thinking, okay, like, they're probably playing for overtime. They've got all the second half momentum. And well, that's what the Falls City head coach thought. He thought they were just going to be playing for overtime. And then he realizes, oh, wow, their offense is still out there. They're going to go for 2 right here. And so he barely gets the timeout in time. Everyone goes to the sidelines, and you can feel the tension in the stadium. It's like, what are they going to do? Are they going to actually try to do this and win it or take the lead, whatever? And then they come out and they're lining up for a kick. And you're like, oh, so they are playing for overtime. And then, well, sure enough, wide right. And then you're just like, oh, like, you could feel like just the gut punch that Bremond took. And yeah, it was a tough way to go out. They actually did get the ball back with 44 seconds left, but I mean, they were on their own 9, and they just could not move the ball. There was no Falls City's defense. That front seven's also really good. Obviously, that's a program that's been strong for years now, and those two teams have had their battles over the years as well. And yeah, didn't go the Tigers' way, but just kind of a tough way to go out.
You saw Chilton play in the season opener against Bosqueville a million weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've seen Falls City. What do you think? Chilton, Falls City.
Chilton is in good shape. Falls City's really good. So Braylon Johnson, the quarterback, like, that guy is literally the offense. Like, there's no other way to put it. I think I had mentioned in the story, he had like 230 of the team's 260 total yards of offense. Like, he did everything. He didn't have to beat him with his arm necessarily, but he just gets out, gets wide, finds the open lanes. The offensive line's pretty big for 2A. And yeah, he's the offense. So he will be tough to contain, I guess you could say. But really, if Chilton keys in on that, and Chilton, the head coach for Falls City, he looked at me in the eyes and was like, look, we know Chilton's really, really good. He was keeping up with the score. He had like a staff member keeping up with it or whatever, and he knew that Chilton was going to be an animal. And he said he had watched some film, and he knows what's up.
You know what Chilton and Chilton and Falls City have in common?
What do they have in common?
They both beat Bremond by a point.
There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Very interesting. But yeah, so that should be a fun one next week. Again, I think Chilton's, based on how Chilton's rolling right now, they should be in pretty good shape, but that'll be a one to kind of circle on the calendar for sure, especially with how good Braylon Johnson is.
It really has Zach Smith's name written all over it, because it's bound to be in Hutto or Cedar Park or somewhere in the Austin area. So yeah.
The Puffield.
The Puffield.
Would it be possible to have like a Mart Chilton semifinal?
No,
Yep.
They're in a different.
No, wait.
Nope. They're both D2, yeah.
They are both D2.
Let's see. Let's look at the bracket.
I'm pretty sure they're on the same side.
Game 60 plays game 59, and that would be Mart Lovelady winner versus the Chilton Falls City winner.
Nice. That would be fun. Martin Chilton. Good call, DJ. Good call. I blanked out there for a second, was thinking D1, D2, but no, they're both D2. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Chad, so obviously Michael saw the game that in the third round we expect to see a lot of close games, but here Zach covered a blowout, DJ covered a blowout, Orts covered a blowout, and you covered a blowout.
Yep. Not a whole lot of drama there at Crowley ISD Stadium. I tell you, it was evident early on that Tioga was not going to be able to do much against Marlin's defense. That Tioga had a really good quarterback. Hayden Hilliard had thrown for more than 3,000 yards this year. He torched Valley Mills last week for 298 and 4 or 5 touchdowns. But Marlin was chasing him from the get-go, and Marlin's DBs were just like right in the back pocket of the Tioga receivers, and then there were a few drops by Tioga. Marlin actually had a chance to really put this away earlier than they did, even because they had 2 fumbles deep in Tioga territory in the first quarter. So they finally punched one in late in the first quarter, go up 6-0, then get another one, go up 12-0 at halftime. And then the third quarter, this is the big moment in the game. In the third quarter, they get the ball first and they drive like 72 yards in 12 plays, right? So maybe not lights out, but they made it real tough because they took away half the third quarter and they went up three touchdowns on a team that was really struggling to move the ball. So,
Shane Anderson always used to say, when you can go down and like bleed the clock and score a touchdown, I mean, you take away a team's will, because I mean, basically you're imposing your will on the game.
Well, and that's what they were doing. I mean, they were doing a lot of RPOs, and Roderick Shooters was keeping the ball a lot, and then they were chewing up yards with a lot of different running backs. Jumarian Womack, Mario Hopwood, and then Ayer Key got in at the end of the game. Was carrying, in fact, me and Eric Kelly are there on the sideline ready for the game to be over, and Ayer Key kept running for touchdowns. So it's like, can we finish here? I mean, it's 46-14. Can we just go ahead and finish? So, but I'll tell you this: looking forward to next week, because they play Toller, right?
Toller Rattlers.
And the Toller Rattlers, who I predicted would win by 40 today, and I think they did win by 40 today-ish.
Yeah.
And I would have said, okay, Marlin and Tioga, you're playing for the chance to go get run over by Toller next week. Right. And last year, Marlin got beat 71-18 by Toller, right? But remember back in August when Ruben Torres was telling us about the things that he wanted to clean up, he wanted to make the kicking game better, and he wanted to tighten those things up. I feel like they've done that. I mean, they made plays. They made like solid plays, and then they made like game-changing plays, like a punt return set up their second touchdown today. So they've got that kicking game thing fixed, and they're tough on defense, and they're tough up front on both sides of the ball. So here we go. I mean, I don't think it's as much of a foregone conclusion as I would have at the beginning of the day.
It'd be fun. I think, yeah, exactly. Marlin's at least got a puncher's chance. So, quickly, we'll hit on a couple others. Pour one out for the Whitney Wildcats. Great season for David Haynes and his crew. I saw a nice tweet from Trey Haynes, just talking about, so DJ wrote this week about, the wistfulness of a season sort of coming to a close. And Trey Haynes was like, I'll never play for my dad again. I'll never, play high school football again. I mean, and obviously that's a kid he's kind of been around. He played at Marlin, played at Valley Mills, played at Whitney, but great career. I mean, just a great kid, and obviously dealt with some adversity this season with a very weird play, but great season for Whitney. David Haynes has got them going in the right direction. Oglesby gets a big win over Iredell. The Tigers will play in the state semifinals next week against Richland Springs.
Is that the farthest Oglesby has ever advanced?
It might be. We'll have to talk to Jeb Dixon about that. But when he got there, they didn't have that much of a playoff history, and he's really added to it in a big way, to say the least. And finally, I did save this guy for last because Terry Crawford, man. So Chad and I have known him a long time. Just a gem of a dude, first of all. He has been at Abbott since 1989. Longer than several of y'all have been alive. And
that's the year Taylor Swift was born.
There you go.
That's the album, right?
Yeah, that's the album.
That album was actually inspired by Terry Crawford coming.
Exactly. Terry Crawford, he and T Swizz, they're really tight. But no, seriously, a guy that has won 76% of his games. He's like, I had it in the story. He's like 230 8-76 or something insane like that. Got a state championship back in 2015. They made it back last year and lost in the final. And obviously another great year. Just ran into a good Gordon team and couldn't keep pace with them, but nothing to hang your hat about. What a career for Terry Crawford, a guy that's going to enjoy his retirement. The plan, I believe, is for Kyle Crawford, his son, to take over as the head football coach and athletic director there. So there'll be, some good Crawford, probably some Crawford kids coming up, the pipeline, Kyle's kids, down the road. So that name will be synonymous with Abbott Panther football for a long time. So good, great career, Terry Crawford, but we'll have more games to cover next week. I appreciate y'all's
Boy,
time.
do we. How are we gonna get this decided? Who goes where?
Well, I'll let y'all Indian leg wrestle it out.
How about a cage match?
What?
How about a cage match?
I usually give DJ first pick, so
Yeah, but oh yeah, all right, yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I'll let you know, Chad. We can discuss
Maybe
it.
I mean maybe we'll have them spread out enough. Maybe we'll have a bunch on Thursday and that cherry on top. Maybe that one that we're all looking for. Maybe that one will be isolated by itself.
Well, here's the other thing: with 6 teams left and just a few weeks of football remaining, it's about that time to start getting feature stories on all these teams. So get your notebooks ready because I'll be assigning some of those too. So yes, we'll be looking for all of that on wacotrib.com and
next Friday, if teams play on Thursday, it'll be November 30th, but the teams play on Friday will be playing December football.
There you go, December football. That's what you play for right there, buddy. All right, peace out, Michael. Enjoy your dinner with your dad. And
Will do. I'm doing it.
All right, awesome. And DJ, drive safe, okay? All right, see y'all.